Signing your first lease is a huge milestone. But having questions is normal. Let's walk through the essentials you should know before you sign. What is a lease? A lease is a legally binding contract between a landlord and tenant that outlines the terms of the rental agreement. What is a cosigner and guarantor? A cosigner and guarantor are both responsible for the lease if the tenant cannot pay, but each has different responsibilities. Cosigners sign the lease along with you and share the financial responsibility to the landlord. They can live in the apartment and may split the rent with you. They are usually roommates or a parent. A guarantor agrees to the lease terms but is not listed as a tenant. They agree to pay the rent if the primary borrower fails to pay. Please keep in mind that a lease is a legally binding contract. If you need to break your lease, you will need to read the lease in full to understand what you will be legally responsible for. For example, some leases may require you to give 30 to 60 days notice before you can break your lease. Some leases may allow you to break your lease, but you may lose your security deposit and possibly incur other fees if there is damage. Others may require you to find someone to sublease your apartment. Each lease may vary, so it's important to read the terms of the lease and get professional legal advice if necessary. Now that you understand what a lease is, follow these tips to avoid any issues. Do a walkthrough of the apartment and use the apartment checklist on the Johns Hopkins website to determine the condition of the living area. Request a copy of the lease in advance and take the time to thoroughly read it. You may want to seek legal advice to review the lease with you before you sign, especially if this is your first time renting an apartment. Understand exactly how much you will need for the terms of the lease. For example, security deposit, monthly rent, and any other fees within the lease. Understand what is included in rent, such as utilities, appliances, and possibly furnishings. Understand who is responsible for maintenance and repairs. Understand your responsibilities upon vacating the property. Make sure all agreements made with the landlord are in writing on the lease. Keep a copy of the lease signed by you, other tenants, and the landlord or property management company. It is highly recommended to get renter's insurance, which will protect your property in cases of unexpected circumstances, such as theft, fires, flooding. Understand your rights. It is also important to understand your rights as a tenant. The Johns Hopkins Housing Office provides resources on their website that review tenant and landlord rights. Now that you have this information, you're ready to find your new home in Baltimore. We look forward to seeing you at Johns Hopkins soon.